Welcome to Spring LIB.
In this question, we are talking about the hydrothermal vent theory for the early origins of life. We are supposed to choose between 4 pieces of evidence and choose which one is the most robust. Part A states that some deep-sea vent prokaryotes use hydrogen for energy. Part B talks about stromatolites, 3.5 billion year old stromatolites, found near deep-sea vents. Part C talks about extremophiles, existing in a variety of environments, including those of high salinity. And finally, we have Part D, which states that the water in deep-sea vents is the same chemical composition as today. Oh, sorry about that. Same composition today as in early Earth. Since we are already pulled up to Part D, let's talk about this one first. In that this is essentially irrelevant. Water is always going to have the same composition, being the classic H2O. If it changes its composition, it is not water. So, of course, water in deep-sea vents is going to have the same chemical composition that it did in early Earth as it does today, meaning that Part D is not our answer. Part A talks about some deep-sea vent organisms using hydrogen for energy. Now, this one is true, but hydrogen is not the only compound that comes out of deep-sea vents. And even that being said, this isn't really informative. Just because organisms are using hydrogen today, that doesn't really tell us anything about the origins of life. So Part A, while true, is not the answer. Part B talks about 3.5 billion year old stromatolites near deep-sea vents. Now, this one is flat incorrect. Stromatolites are made of photosynthetic cyanobacteria. And only occur in shallow water. Because cyanobacteria require light to use photosynthesis. So, while the oldest indications of life do come from 3.5 billion year old stromatolites, they are not located near deep-sea vents, but instead on coasts. Lastly, we have Part C, extremophiles existing in a variety of environments, including those with high salinity. Now, this one is going to be the closest to approaching our answer. Extremophiles are organisms that exist in very extreme environments, things like high radiation, things like high temperatures. And the very fact that extremophiles exist in a variety of environments suggested to scientists that early Earth was not safe to live in or easy. It was thought that these types of environments were the only things that existed. So the idea that the earliest organisms were extremophiles, especially after they were discovered around hydrothermal vents, gained a little bit of traction. Now, the best evidence actually comes in the form of actual experiments, in which, using simulated hydrothermal vents, a team of scientists was able to spontaneously produce the building blocks of cells. That is actually what gives us our strongest indication that life did form in hydrothermal vents. But in terms of this question, C most closely approaches the answer.